Welcome in to the Bobby Carpenter Show and a very Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Merry Christmas to you, Schlegs.
Merry
Back
Christmas to you,
in
Bob.
Columbus after traversing much of Texas. How was your Christmas, sir?
It was eventful. It was eventful. A lot of great stories, a lot of great memories. Um, Time shared in the car with my dad. I mean, if you could be a fly on the wall of that
Yes.
conversation, it was
Did you record
quite
that?
a. I should have. I should have just had our record the entire time. As I drive down to my sister's place, she moved from Friendswood, Texas, like south of Houston, to a little bit north of Austin to be closer to her daughter. And her son teaches, starts with a B. Anyways, so we drive, and it's like 3 hours from Frisco. Pick up my dad, 2.5, and we're driving. We get there, we have a great Christmas. Got a great, that'd be a great niece, you know. So it's all about her, which is great. And I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna charge for oxygen while we're here. That way, you can really suck it in on this drive home after eating, Christmas meal and chilling. And so I get in there. I'm like, Dad, I'm like, come on, man, keep your oxygen on because he's walking in. He's got this protein thing that's in his blood, and so he has a hard time breathing. So I'm like, you got to take your oxygen. Like, I don't like to take certain supplements, and I don't want to take collagen, but I do it, just because I want to stay healthy. Same thing for you. Put it on, old man. As we go through different conversations about the Cowboys and not making the playoffs and different defensive fronts and offensive line play, it's amazing. Anyways, we get to his place. I'm like, this can't be working. He's like, oh yeah. It's making that noise. Yeah, I've been getting oxygen the entire time. I saw that I go through and I push the power button, Bob. I pushed the power button, and when I left just north of Austin, it said 75%. I said, Dad, I said it now reads 76%. There's no way it gained 1%, okay, of battery life over the last 2.5 hours. He's like, well, it happens. That's what it is. He was absolutely amazing. He was absolutely amazing. And he broke into sharing stories because they were talking about when the people started driving. He was like, well, hell, Anthony started driving. He was 14. I was tired. I sent him all the way from South Dallas to North Dallas to wrestle. It was all good. And everybody's like, man, what a great parent. He's like, I know, right?
I know.
Anyways, it was great. It was great. How about you, Bob? Tell me what you guys did.
I'm glad that your dad acknowledges that, because a lot of people, my parents now misremember the facts of what happened and how things go. And like, that's not it. I'm like, listen, it was one of many events in your life. This was like a critical memory, a core memory, if you will, Schleichs, of mine. So maybe I misremember some details and facts about it, but largely a lot of it's going to come through. And because my mom, we'd get in arguments now about how they parented me and what they did. We went down to my in-laws came up. We go to Christmas Eve service every year, and then we go to dinner over at Hyde Park, which was delicious. And so we've been doing that like the last 3 or 4 years. My lovely wife wanted to make a tradition out of that, so we started doing it. And it's fun. Have the kids a little white tablecloth dining and teach them how to not be animals. And eat, in a public setting. So did that.
That's a good life skill to have.
It was. Came back, watched Violent Night, which is starting.
Is it good? Is it good?
Oh, it's great. It's starting to become one of my Christmas favorites because it's the language is a little aggressive, but it's so entertaining. And my father-in-law, who hates movies, actually sat there and he got a couple chuckles out of it and laughed. And I'm like, I've shown 2 movies to him that I recommended I thought he would like. The Town, which he said wasn't too bad, which means that's like 5 stars for him. And then Violent Night, he goes, that was all right. And I'm like, it was tremendous. So we did that. Then yesterday, woke up, obviously opened all the presents, ate a little bit of breakfast, and then around 11 we headed down to my brother's, did Christmas down there with my parents, and my in-laws came too. Got a chance to get some of the cousins together. Did that. Went and saw Avatar 3, which was much better, I think, than the second one.
Really? It came out? I didn't even know it came out.
Yeah, it came out on Thursday. It came out like two days before Christmas, I think.
Okay.
Maybe the week before. It was very good.
Can you rent that on? Can you stream that?
You know what? That's a good question. We saw it in 3D. And it was pretty great. Like to watch the movie in 3D now was like $20, but it was actually worth it. It was good. My parents, my uncle went, and three of my kids went, and then we came back to George's, had a nice tenderloin, beef tenderloin, pork tenderloin, ate, watched some football, watched some more Four Christmases, some good movies, had a good time, and then woke up and had to get up early to get RJ back to swim practice for 7 a.m. swim the day after Christmas. Yeah,
Today.
Buckeyes. Yeah,
Nice. And you know what, Bob, you brought up something else too. I was be remiss if I didn't say this. Kudos to Josh, my brother-in-law, is kind of Uncle Fun. You got Uncle Coach Mike over there, my sister's husband. Uncle Fun, well, his wife Christine, who I've known since she was 14 years old, she's like, we are going to this drive-through lights thing, and they put all the lights to music.
yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, her car it's an Escalade. It has some serious sound. I mean, we cranked that up. I could see Sam in the Jeep in front of us going, he's having a great time. Hudson's up there saying, because you're going like 1 mile an hour. So they're standing outside with glow. It was amazing. And I was like, this is making memories. I love it. That's what it's about. You got to make memories with the family, with the kids, playing stuff. I played basketball. I was like, Hunter, you gotten a lot better at basketball. He's like, yeah, what else is there to do in Findlay, Ohio? We play basketball. I was like, fair enough. You got better. So it was a great time. I'm happy you had a great time, man. And there's a lot of stuff going on in college football right now.
Oh, yeah. The whole Michigan search heating up, Schlegs. So Biff Poggi, it's his situation there.
Old Biff.
Yeah, he's a beefy dude.
Not Biff from Back to the Future.
Yes, he is the interim head coach right now. So he was up there for a long time with Harbaugh. Biff Poggi's story, I mean, he's a very wealthy guy, made his money in like the financial world, wanted to get into coaching, wanted Michigan, just basically volunteered. And it was around the program for a number of years. I think he got the head job, was at Charlotte, I believe.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Didn't really have all that much success. Got fired, came back, poofed David Copperfield. Now he was helping Sharon Moore. And then now he's the interim head coach after Sharon got fired. And he was interviewing for the head coaching job. He wants the head coaching job at Michigan. And it's wild, like, because he's kind of with Harbaugh and he's been with Sharon. Like, he's been a part of it. Now, granted, he was gone for a couple of seasons, but he said it's been 5 years of a malfunctioning organization. Let's call it what it is. It happened, right in front of everybody. And it's happening every year. So wild for him to say that while he's trying, like, he's the number one, he's the interim head coach, but a guy who also wants the job, who wants to have that head coaching job, that he was kind of a part of that 5-year issue.
Yeah. Interesting comment to make while you're interviewing for it. But you know what? And then it goes into the next one that Albert Breer put out there because, Albert Buckeye, but he's like, I'm confused, credit for the honesty, but how can he then campaign for the job when he was associate head coach for 3 of those 5 years? And that's kind of the point. But maybe, Bob, I'm taking it as to maybe they knew, speaking of the athletic director, speaking of potentially the board, like maybe other people knew and they decided to like overlook it because they were having on-field success. And maybe that's what it was. I don't necessarily, he probably didn't understand how to actually answer what this was, as opposed to, hey, it was kind of out of my control as an associate head coach, but being made the head coach, these things wouldn't transpire.
That's a hard thing to distance yourself, though, from.
100. I agree.
It wasn't you, it's me. Like, you were right there. You were a part of a lot of this stuff.
And why didn't you bring him up at that instance? And because, again, the thing that is difficult in collegiate athletics is he got that job, like talking about your – where you came from, Bob, and going to Charlotte was a lot of because of the success that you had while you were at Michigan. And so there you go there, and then you come back, and now you want that. I don't think you necessarily get it anyway. So why do you make that comment? And that's kind of the point in what we're discussing here.
What's interesting here with that, Schleigs, is, why do you make it? Maybe part of the reason that he made that comment was to be able to push some pressure on Ward Manuel. And I know Ward's still the guy that's hiring, but Biff Poggi, like, he's a guy that very wealthy dude, and he probably knows.
He has second best options, which a lot of coaches in those positions do not
that's
have.
My point is, I'm trying to figure out if maybe he knows that Ward really wouldn't want to hire him. So maybe this is his opportunity to say, if I'm loud enough with this of how bad it is, then maybe Ward can be on the way out, and I can be tied to a new AD. I'm just trying to think of, the part of him saying the quiet part out loud, how that would benefit him if he wants that job.
Well, it's also because maybe there's other, and I'm not, here's the other fact, Bob, and you're also dealing with student athletes that have been in that program for potentially 5 years who have witnessed it all, and they're coming him as the interim, and he's just going to say the quiet part out loud because they're saying it themselves. And maybe he's just taking that stance. And again, we don't know because you and I aren't asking him the question, because we would ask him that question. Why would you make that comment now when you yourself were associated with him? However, when you have financial means and you have second best options, should you choose them, maybe it was the fact that I'm going to say this for the sake of the players. And that's why I'm going to look at, like, what is the positive spin on this, because they're the ones that have been living in this turmoil. Though they've reaped some of the benefits of the success of the program in and of itself right now is in absolute chaos. And I'm not talking about the good kind of chaos from the F1 movie that I watched over Christmas break, right? Not Plan C. It's just absolutely chaos that they have to be a part of on a daily basis. So maybe that's why he said it.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure that out.
We don't know. We're just telling all you out there, like, scenarios in which this could potentially be beneficial for Biff, or he maybe knows that it's not beneficial. So I'm going to go out and say what it is and basically kind of separate myself, maybe even, Bob, for further things down the line as to, hey, I had no control of that situation when I was a part of there. I tried to keep it on the up and up with integrity. Here's the chain of command. That's stuff that's going to come out in an interview. But I know what I'm doing, right? When given the opportunity to lead a program. And maybe that's why he did it.
I guess I'm just like, I looked at that and I was like, all right, I don't disagree with you. I think it is correct what you're saying. Just if you want that job, and I don't know, Schleg's like, I mean, we've shown pictures of him before. We had the one with him in Sharon, obviously, or I think there was one up there when he was cold, so he had to sleep. But he like wears those big cutoffs on the sideline and in the interviews. I mean, he's a unique dude.
He is who he is.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if they would deem him as a Michigan man or whatever. I'm not that tied in to know how people really view him up there. There he is. Look at that, Schlegs. I mean, I kind of feel like Biff Poggi.
Sexy.
I feel like he's like Roger Schlegel. Like, I mean,
100%, one and of the same. Roger Schlegel would wear that, but maybe with the old school bike shorts and tall socks. I can see that, but I sure would say Doc Jock on it.
That's amazing. Like, that's what he is wearing, and he would wear that to like the podium for pressers and everything else.
Well, I want to ask you this question, Bob. So then, if you're Michigan, where do you go?
Well, it's funny you bring that up, Schlegs. We're going to get to a lot of Ohio State stuff in here as well. There's a lot of good stuff that we've got to get there, but we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about where this Michigan coaching search might be headed now. And it's a name that I did not think would be in the mix, but a name that it may not be overwhelmingly exciting, but someone I think that can steady the ship. And that's what you need right now up in Michigan. But the NFL game days move. They're fast. One big play and everything changes. That's why live betting from FanDuel is a game changer. With FanDuel, you can bet in real time while the game unfolds. Score just flipped, jump on a new spread, or ride the live money lines. That receiver's heating up, bet the next touchdown score or total yards. Think that drive stalls in the red zone? Take a live field goal prop or fade the total. Live player props, team totals, drive results, updated spreads, next play markets. It's all here. It's fast, it's fun, and with FanDuel, your live bets move as quickly as the game does. So whether you're riding momentum or fading the hype, FanDuel puts you right in the middle of every moment. Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the app and bet the NFL live all season long. Must be 21 or older in present Ohio or 21 or older in present Pennsylvania. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next. All right, back in from the Bobby Carpenter Show here. We've got some more news, and because we talked a little Biff Poggi and what Michigan could potentially be doing with him, Pete Thamel reported. When Pete Thamel puts things out there, I take a lot of stock in this. He's as tight as anybody as you're going to find in college football. And says Utah coach Kyle Whittingham has emerged as the focus of the University of Michigan's coaching search. Sources tell Dan Wetzel and me more here. Now, Kyle Whittingham has been at Utah for over 2 decades. He was there, Schlegs, when Urban Meyer was there. He was his DC. When Urban left, he became the head coach. He was at Utah. He steadied them through the Mountain West into the Pac-12, had a lot of success. They've done a great job since he's been there. His teams are tough. They're physical. They run the football. A lot of things that Michigan would like. Last year, 2 years ago, I believe was their OC, Schlegs, became the coach in waiting. And I don't think he wanted to go out like he did 2 years ago where they struggled a lot. This year, they were a better squad. And when he retired, I thought it was because, or he stepped down, like he's just an older guy and he was ready to be done coaching. Coaching's a lot of work.
He's 66 years old, man.
66 years old. That's a great point, Schleich. So I'm thinking, does he really want to do it anymore? Like, does he have the juice, the will, the energy to do it? And he's a guy that has been so tied in with Utah because he's been there for 20 years. And so it said he's become the focus of the search. It did not say that he was interested in the job. Now, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. We don't know that. But that is where Michigan appears to be headed. I think it would be a great hire for them if they could get him, even if it's just for 3 to 5 years to get him to get this thing back on level footing. What say you, sir?
Well, one, I thought I was remiss in the first thing that, it was Christmas, but I think people forget sometimes that 40 years ago, Rocky single-handedly through 15 arduous rounds ended the Cold War that we witnessed in Rocky IV on the celebration of the birthday of our Lord and Savior. But that being said, what say I about Kyle Whittingham is heck of a coach, but it's almost like, do you really want this? Because here's probably a better question, Bob, to you. Is Michigan a rebuild? Is it a rebuild?
I would say where they're at right now, depending what Bryce Underwood, their quarterback, does, depending on portal situations. I mean, they're 9-3 last year. They weren't bad.
Well, that's this year, right? Like they were 9-3 this year. They had 2 losses in the Big Ten.
They lost to
USC at USC,
and they lost to Oklahoma
at Oklahoma.
At Oklahoma, and they lost to Ohio State. I mean, they lost to 2 playoff teams and one team that, in USC was pretty good. And that was probably the best game I think that USC probably played all year.
Yep.
So I don't know if it's a full rebuild, but you may have to strip some stuff down. But I think that there is some talent there.
Okay, so let's go back to this because I have a different take on what I feel that Michigan should do. Did they or did they not get a significant fine, Bob, through the things that came out in the advanced scouting thing for the NCAA?
They got some fines. They had some issues. I mean, they've been a target of the NCAA and a lot of things that happened. And then the Sharon Moore thing, there isn't anything that is NCAA or violating any type of stuff like that. It just doesn't really look all that good, for the university.
So to me, Pat, go ahead, throw up that picture. This is where I feel that you go, in my honest opinion. If I am them, I am going to the head football coach at Ferris State. Ferris State, mind you, did you already throw it up there, Pat? It's in our group chat. But Tony Nese, he wins. He's just a winner. He's 152-21 at Ferris State. He has 4 national champions in 5 seasons, 7 conference champions. He's made the Division II tournament 11 seasons in a row. And here's my point on that. That reminds me, now again, he's older in the tooth as well, but it reminds me a lot of a Jim Tressel. And when you got to go through, and that is already up in Michigan, but when you got something that you want to rebuild and kind of clean house, Bob, what a great reset this is. And I'm not going to say it in a negative manner, but it's also on the cheap. And so why not take a guy who's been able to have that type of success at that level that's in your state and give him an opportunity to be the head football coach at the state university? And that's kind of what I feel they need somebody like that. That's a proven winner.
Yeah.
You want to aspire to be like that because that is whole. When you go and look at the Saban runs and heck, even Ohio State and how their last coaching hires of Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, and Ryan Day have all produced a championship. And like that is a culture. That is something that far exceeds just the brand in and of itself, and it has been laid. And so somebody that knows what that looks like, feels like, acts like, that's the type of person I want. Regardless of all the things that we're talking about, whether it's Whittingham or someone else that comes in, um, you're already behind the eight ball as to what coaches you're going to acquire. You're probably going to have to overpay because they might already be on a new staff. And in order to entice them to move again, or they've only been there 1 year, that's going to require capital. So that, and what are you going to pay Kyle Whittingham? So I just take all of that in the summation as to, and maybe that's why Biff threw that out there, Bob. It's like you need a complete clean slate of this entire organization, and why not somebody like that? I'm just throwing it out there. I think it'd be a really good hire.
Yeah, you're not wrong. A guy that's tied in the state, that's had a lot of success, older guy. Like you feel like you need somebody like that after Sharon Moore being young and everything that happened ultimately with him.
And both of them are also older guys. So I see the both.
Yeah, Kyle Whittingham. Reportedly, I guess his OC Jason Beck would be going to Michigan with him as well. If that ends up transpiring, we'll see. We'll keep monitoring that. I mean, this is the thing on the calendar. You've got a boatload of games tomorrow, some games today, and then you also Schlegs have games, obviously the playoff games next week.
Here's a question to you, Bob. Do you think Kyle Whittingham retired knowing that this job? I mean, he retired when this job was vacated.
I'm trying to think of the timeline. I feel like he retired before the Sharon Moore stuff. Did he not?
I don't know, man. It's all just blurred together.
I think he did. And I don't think like the point was, did he step away so that
kind of like, hey, I can retire or I can also go after this.
And that's why I don't think that that's him. Not knowing him, Schlegs, I never played for him or was around him, but just listening to him talk for the last 20 years and seeing how he operates his program.
Oh, I respect him very much.
I'm saying he's had chances to leave. He doesn't seem like a guy that would be like, well, I'm stepping down right now, and I know that I have this in my back pocket to go take this job. He doesn't strike me as a guy that would work through something like that. And you may know know it a little better than me.
No, I don't. I just know him. I mean, Q, he's a running back coach up there. I coached with him down in Jacksonville. Played for him. I mean, we played against him. Well, trust me, I played against him. You didn't. But great dude. Highly respect Coach Whittingham. So, just from those conversations, it would be good. And it's kind of like one of those things where you're not necessarily going to overpay. He's coming from Utah. You're going to pay him what he's worth, but you're also the back end where you don't have any other viable second best option unless you do something else. And he already kind of knows the mix, but you also have an abundance of significantly more resources than one would have at Utah.
They do. And we're long for a break here. We're going to grab one. And we're going to get off of this, start talking about some Ohio State.
Let's Buckeyes. Let's go. Let's talk about some
Buckeyes rolling here. But that was a lot of topical news today that was obviously coming down over the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and everything going on. And since we had a couple shows off there, wanted to get into all that. Pat doing the deep research, Schlegs. Sharon Moore was fired on December 11th. Kyle Whittingham retired on December 12th. I think that was more of a coincidence than anything, but maybe I'm wrong in saying that. And so who ultimately knows with that there, because he seemed very emotional. And we actually played some of his sound there when he was talking about it, and it didn't sound like he was closing the door on coaching completely, but he also didn't sound like a guy that was looking for a job or knew that something was coming. But I don't know. We'll figure all that out. But the Buckeyes, Schlegs, they are back in action at practice today. They had a couple days off over the holidays. And so I want to talk to you about the return to play after having a couple of days off, how that works, what they should be doing. Had a couple of really great practices early in the week before getting a time off to see their families a little bit before they'll ultimately fly out to Dallas. I want to say on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe
28th.
Yeah, so I'll have to look at what date that is.
They're flying out on the 28th. What's today?
Yeah.
Today's the 26th. So they're flying out Sunday.
Sunday. So Sunday
and
after.
They made him do that. They made him do that. Ryan doesn't want to spend he wants to spend as little time away as possible, but that's part of the routine. So they're flying out on Sunday.
Yeah. So they're going to practice and then fly out ultimately after that Sunday night. So we'll get into that and what that looks like, Schleigs, and get your insight on it. But I'll tell you about our friends at Export. Protect what matters most with Export mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouthguards, scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They custom fit that bad boy to your own smile with 3D printing, which means more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication. That way you focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby Day and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. The Buckeyes back on the practice field. What's it look like? Coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show and Schleigs. Buckeyes practice Monday, Tuesday. Had a little time off for the families, for the coaches. Got to see James over at church on, what day was that? Christmas Eve. So
that'd been Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah. Had his girls and his son with Shelly there at the Christmas Eve service. 3 o'clock, the early one, Schleigs, when you getting in. We like to go eat afterwards. So we started moving that up and going a little bit earlier on the Christmas Eve service. After a couple of days off, you hear Mick say it, and right, you're responsible for what you put in your body, how you act, how you come back. Coming back after a couple of days, but then having to play also, Schleigs, less than a week from yesterday. The return to play to get these guys ready, but also making sure that you're kind of taking their bodies into account, that they may have been traveling, they may have been driving, they may have been flying, how that looks.
Yeah. So, Bob, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they practiced on the 22nd that Monday.
They practiced the 23rd as well. They just took off I think they took 2 days off.
Okay. So most of those guys are going to have enough time. And that's part of it too, guys. It's like having the plan for the guys that can't, maybe you're on the West Coast and theoretically, it doesn't make any sense to fly home knowing, Bob, if that was us, we would have flown home just for the few hours that we had. But it's like, hey, you better be drinking water on that flight, et cetera, et cetera. So really, when you think about the calendar going into the game, Saturday is your Tuesday. The 28th is your Wednesday. That's why it is imperative they want to get that practice in at Ohio State, because that's the one where you're going to get your high dose of velocity. 29th, they're going to do it down there. I think they're going to be at Highland Park because that whole thing. Yeah, because there's that whole thing with, SMU is an AAC team now, Bob. An ACC team.
Yeah.
Yep. So Miami, guess what conference they're in? ACC. So they'll go in there. So it's not a full indoor. It's a really good indoor. I remember for a playoff game, I believe Green Bay was down there and used their indoor. It's going to be fine. But that Thursdays are faster. It's more red zone stuff. So no problem there. So that's like 29th. Then you got your Fast Friday on the 30th, and then boom, poof, David Copperfield's go time. And that's what it is. So one, it's guys being able to be pros, be responsible, make sure they're eating and hydrating and sleeping properly, because as soon as we get back, man, buckle up, Buttercup, it's go time.
Did you have anything to do with the Highland Park setup, Schleigs? I mean,
no.
Is that esteemed veteran of Scotland Yard like yourself?
Yeah, you know what? It was funny. Kevin was like, hey, you know anybody over there? And it's like, I was like, yeah, I mean, Coach Allen was my coach. He's still coaching there. Here's their offensive coordinator, Coach Wells, like, hit him up. They got a new AD. I don't really know him very well because I'm not down there that often. but great
just were
people.
down there last week.
Well,
Did you do a site? Did you do a
like
advanced scouting site survey?
advanced site visit for Kevin? No, I did not. But it's very close in proximity to where they stay. Logistically, it makes a lot of sense utilizing one of those two areas. And again, they're more than happy to accommodate the Buckeyes.
Is that why they don't go to TCU? Because you got to think, you got TCU there, which is another Power 5 program that has. I've been to TCU Stadium. I'm not familiar though with their practice facilities or what that would look like.
But you know what, Bob? It's actually unique that you brought that up because you play in Arlington.
Yeah.
And yet you stayed down there at the Omni or whatever.
They're staying at the Hilton Anatole, I believe, which is where they stayed the last couple times.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
So it begs the question, is there not a better one in Fort Worth? Why do you have to stay in Dallas?
I think
because you're going to Arlington. I mean, in proximity, Bob, hell, it's toll roads running amok. Everywhere you go, you're on some type of toll road down there.
Yeah, I mean, they do have nice highways because you
have phenomenal highways.
Pay for them, but they're good.
Yeah, exactly. I think some of them are foreignly owned, by the way. It stinks. But that being said, I don't see why you couldn't stay on. It's probably a little bit of familiarity. They understand what is needed. But you would think anybody in the Big 12 that's playing TCU would also understand that as well. Maybe there's not. Maybe they just like the proximity to, Arlington from that, which still Fort Worth from Arlington is like 25 minutes versus 30 minutes. So you're splitting hairs there. But it's all good, Buckeyes.
Okay, I was just curious as to that. Buckeyes, like they stayed there last year for the Cotton Bowl at the Anatole. They stayed there in 20.
Yeah, it's like when we go out we stay at the Princess when you go to the Fiesta Bowl. It's like it's what you know, you're familiar with it. The more familiarity you have, the better the routine is, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't have time to waste and second guess certain things when you go. Like those people know what you want to prepare. They've been through it, done that. Your people are familiar with their people, and that's the why problem.
Yeah, and it works out good. And they've had a lot of success down there for the most part. Outside of that Missouri game, most of the Cotton Bowls have been very advantageous. A lot of Buckeyes down there, and so a pretty good situation for those guys. It's ironic. You take some of the guys like Riley, Pettijohn, Peyton Pierce, like some of the guys that are Dallas dudes who flew down.
McKinney, Salina.
They flew down Schleichs for Christmas to fly back to be here for a couple more days, then to fly back down there as well. So got some news coming up in our headlines that we'll get to. Miami, their bowl record is kind of unique, and I didn't realize that. A couple other guys are hitting the portal, a couple QBs that will drop in there for our headlines as well. But first, tell you about our friends over at Backer, bckr.com. If you missed the stuff for Christmas, you can still get it. You still have great stuff. It looks good. It feels good. It's got the functions and features that you want. It's the elite fan gear for you. So go check it out. Schlegs and I have it. We wear it. We love it. And excited to continue to rock it here as it gets going. And listen, when you buy stuff for Ohio State, a portion of it goes back to the Ohio State NIL fund. So how about that? Use free shipping right now, promo code all caps BOBBY at checkout, and you get 10% off. So go check them out, bckr.com. That is Backer. Go check them out. We've got our headlines coming up next. All right, we'll start off here with a little bit of portal news from our headlines. Alonzo Barnett, the James Madison quarterback, and Anthony Calandria, the quarterback at Virginia, both notable college quarterbacks, Schlegs, both jumped into the transfer portal. Yeah. Pat threw that out there for us to take a look. And, Barnett's coach, Schlegs, well, he's heading to UCLA. So I'm curious if maybe he follows him out there or what the future could also be in store for him as well.
Man, a lot of people jumping into the portal, but their season's already done. Just not saying that Ohio State or any other remaining teams would want them, but it's just one of those things where I can't stand the portal deal. As far not that I can't stand the portal, I can't stand the timing. It's terrible, So good for them. Totally get it. Totally understand why they're doing it. But I don't care about people announcing for their portal. Sorry, I'm just not that kind of fan.
Oh, so you don't like the announcements of guys coming?
I don't like the
going?
announcements of guys coming and going. And honestly, Kirby Smart's right on. It's like, how are you getting better? Well, there maybe a guy like, and I'm always on both sides of, well, coach, maybe their season's done and they can jump in. You know what I mean? Or that they're announcing that they're staying back. And he's like, well, why aren't you announcing that you're getting better? Well, that's not really what it is, but I just call a spade a spade. And the fact is, this is NFL football. And until we have some type of roster management, you're going to get these type of things all the time. And every time I see one of these and I see some of the stats that somebody put up, I'm just like, why? Where are you going to go? You know what I mean? Like, why not just stay there? They already know you. Spring football is a great opportunity to get film. Is it because it's really hard? You don't want to go through another hard offseason, and get developed and maybe fight for a spot and just like take that job from that guy and that competitive excellence aspect? Or maybe you just don't feel they like you, right? Have you had a hard conversation with that? Those, again, you don't know every scenario or situation, so I'm not passing judgment whatsoever. I'm just like, man, I just don't get it, So him as a quarterback in a group of 5 potentially going and put his name in the portal so he can go to a UCLA makes a lot of sense. But, man, I tell you what, it's going to be a swift kick in the baboombas when it's like, hey, coach, I'm coming with you. And he's like, no, thank you.
You would like to think that conversation occurred.
You would think so. But that's the thing is that while you're there and the window's open, like, is that legal? And that's why I go back. Like, there's so much gray. There is, like, what degree of gray is it? You know what I mean, Bob? Like, it's like, well, he conversed with a third party about, said guy. And that even goes into the fact, like, these 8, like, there's NIL money that they're going to give these kids regardless. But yeah, you have people profiting off them somewhere in the realm of 20%, which is absolutely asinine. There's no governance even for that, Bob. In the CBA, there is a governance to where it cannot exceed this. It can be as low as you want, but it can't exceed this. Like, there's rules and regulations around it. There are none in college football.
There are none. 3% is the max you can take off player contracts in the NFL for actual
on-field. Negotiable. And that's negotiable.
The max, like I said, that is the max. It is negotiable. And then off the field stuff, marketing, that can be bigger. And that's what people view these as more as marketing deals. But now that it's a revenue share, maybe it should be a little different. Miami, so like in their last 17 years,
yep,
their record in bowl games isn't all that great. And Brutus Wayne put this up, and we saw this coming across my feed, and it was pretty unbelievable. Miami, they're 1-12 in the last 17 years, and their fan bases they're getting frothy, man. They get in my mentions. They're all this and that, and they get super upset about everything and talking about. And listen, they're a very good team. They're one of the most talented teams in college football. But his line in this, you think Ohio State was about ready to stack up against Nick Saban in Alabama in their prime, and I don't know that Miami's quite there yet. As well, their lone victory coming in 2016 against West Virginia in the Russell Athletic Bowl.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Bob. Yeah, I don't know. They haven't had a lot of success in the postseason. And part of that is because maybe guys are leaving, hopping into the portal. Maybe it's because they're not executing, developing their guys, and they're coming out flat and they're losing, to really good teams maybe, or maybe they're losing to teams that aren't. I really didn't dive deep in there. One thing I want to go into is the next one, Bob, about David Pollock talking about O-line, D-line.
Well, there's a lot. Like, there's a lot there in that. We don't have time to get into that today.
I know, because I will tell you this, Bob. One thing I am tired of hearing is I'm tired of hearing the Reuben Bain.
He's a good player.
Really good player over Caden Curry. When I just let the stats speak for themselves, and you're coming in with 4.5 sacks on the season, mind you, you had 3 sacks versus Texas A&M. Now you're sitting at 7.5. But Caden Curry had 9 sacks throughout the season, had 2 more against Indiana in the playoff game. So, or in the championship game. So now he's sitting at 11. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, this whole thing about Miami's defense being D-line potentially even being superior than Ohio State's defense. I'm just like, whoa. Pump the brakes, Kemosabe.
They're good. Listen, and Reuben Bain's good. Miami's really good up front. Like, I'm not away from them. I mean, Indiana's good up front. They're much different with like how they get it done. Miami has some great individual players. They're very, very talented. up front, Schlegs. And so I completely get that. I don't know if I'm all in on this situation where, their defensive line is as good as, like Georgia's 4 years ago, where you got or Clemson, one of the years they won it, we had 3 first-round draft picks. I don't know if we're all the way there yet, but they are good. They're physical, and Mario Cristobal is somebody who is an offensive line coach. He's built this team through the line on both sides of the line of scrimmage. There were some comments made by David Pollack that we'll get to in our next show. We don't have enough time because it's a full 2 or 3 segment conversation about that, Schlegs, about everything that goes into this. But I know that that's a point of emphasis for Ohio State. They understand that this team is really good. That's where they're good. And then you've got Malachi Tony, and he's one of their other guys you got to take away. And Fletcher, their running back, has had a ton of yards against A&M and looks good. So, like, there's a lot of things that they've got going.
Good. It's good on good.
It is. It is good on good. We've got a lot of stuff to get to here. We're going to take a quick break because we got a Thoughtful Thursday. Ohio University has a new football coach that I want to get into, which I think is a great hiring move for them, especially after a huge victory they had over UNLV in their bowl game. So we'll talk a little bit about that here as we get into our tailgate talk coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, let's hit it up before we get to some of our questions of our guy, Tim Walton, and his Thoughtful Thursday.
It's called That's Not My Job. This is a story about 4 people. Name everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Okay. What I'm saying is everybody's job to make sure the job gets done. It's everybody's job to make sure the job gets done. Everybody got their role. It's going to be an all-star in our role. Everybody good? We know we're going to make it happen. Ready?
All right.
There we go, Schlegs.
We all have a role to play. We all have a role to play. We all got to play our role, Bob. And you got to be fanatical about what it is.
Maniacal?
No, fanatical. Fanatical. Do you know this, Bob? The Greek word, the Greek for passion, right? We always talk about, like, you want to be passionate about things. And we look at are you passionate about football? But you know the Greek word for that means to suffer or endure. And so did
you just see that in your Instagram feed?
No, I didn't. I actually looked it up.
Oh.
Because, it was the passion of the Christ. And then I just looked up, like, what is that? And because you're going through, when you're at church and stuff, and they're always like, hey, the Greek word of that is this. And I just happened to look it up. And I wish I could find what it is. Maybe subconsciously it was in there, Bob, but I don't think it was.
I think it may have been.
Are you willing to endure and suffer for something? And that goes into, like, what this team is. And so, like, that was a great job by him, because this is in the crux to where guys' engagement, Bob, you know this. It could be here, it could be down. Hey, I ain't playing in this game, but are you still passionate about what you're doing? Are you still willing to suffer and endure for the goal, for the mission? Everybody has their role to play. They all got to play their role. Good job, Walt.
All right. And then also with that, we've got the news about John Hauser. He was defensive coordinator. He was the interim coach. They got a huge win over UNLV. The players at the end of the game were chanting "Hire Hauser," just super excited. We know his brother Chris. He worked at Ohio State right after, or at least I do. He was there with Fick, and he was a graduate assistant, did some things.
I know it, Bob. I know him.
I thought you did. And according to Pete Thamel,
I used to call him Doogie Hauser.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? According to Pete Thamel, Ohio University is promoting defensive coordinator John Hauser to the program's new head coach. He was Ohio's interim coach of their 17-10 win in the Frisco Bowl over UNLV. He's been there since 2022. I think that's a great hire. I like him. Great guy, smart dude. And hopefully he keeps this thing rolling because Ohio University's been pretty good for the last 20 years.
I mean, of the three schools, Bob, that are the group of five, I think it was JMU, Ohio, and Tulane, I think, were the most successful schools, Bob. And they've, I think, over the last 3 years.
I think the last 5 years they have 40 wins or something.
Exactly, like 40 and 13. That's pretty daggum good.
Yeah, well, considering their non-conference was West Virginia, Ohio State, and Rutgers this year, like they do a good job with that, and awesome to ultimately see that big time ball there for them. So can't wait for that. Let's take a little glimpse here in the chat, Schlegs. We got a lot of people talking about the Carson Beck throwing interceptions and the prediction that he will throw some interceptions, and if he does, then ultimately it'll be game over for Ohio State. Another one, what is this? Timo Fedorov. Well, Day does show vulnerabilities in tight games. It's him, not the players. Our losses were because of him. What are your thoughts on that?
You want me to articulate that?
Yeah, just what are your thoughts about vulnerabilities in tight games, more on the coach than on the players?
So what are you alluding to? Are you alluding to
the coach? There's coaching errors that are happening.
Are you alluding to being 7 of 8 in the last top 10 matchups? Or maybe, hell, you could even say 7 of 9. You could even say 7 of 9 if you wanted to include the Oregon game from last season. There might even be more in there.
I don't agree with it. I'm just asking.
No, I know. I'm just going back to, like, where was that? I mean, was that a couple years removed? Because what I witnessed most recently in the college football playoff was somebody that absolutely let it rip. Now, are you going to go back and say, well, look at this year's Michigan game? I would say let it rip. Are you referring to the Big Ten championship game that you lost to a really good football team, 13-10, when you had plenty of opportunities to execute and you didn't? And how much of that falls on the coach? Well, hey, we should have kicked the field goal early. Why are we kicking the field goal late, et cetera, et cetera? However, if one guy just brackets a dude on the outside, right, if maybe we did a poor call by a coach on that play and we just execute the other ones, now maybe there's some game planning stuff that could have gone awry, but you're still in the midst of a good-on-good game and you happen to lose the game. So my question back to the question is, what are you actually absolutely referring to? Are you looking at the last 6 years of his tenure here? Or what have you seen recently? So to me, here's the one thing I will say about Ryan Day and what he has shown both you and I, Bob, and tell me if I'm remiss by saying this, but I think he does a great job of self-introspection.
Yeah.
Hey, man, this ain't going to cut it. And whatever we got to do to go win the game is what we're going to do to go win the game. And he knows, like, it's not about show points. Nobody cares how much you beat Miami by. It's win in advance. That's what it is. And he's like, what do we have to do that puts the most pressure on somebody with the group of dudes that we got to win in advance? Now go freaking execute. Coaches, prepare your dudes. Dudes, execute the game plan. That's what it boils down to. That's why it's a team game as well, my man.
All right. Take a quick break. Coming back, we'll wrap up the show with the parting thoughts and side nuggets of Anthony Schlegel. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we'll wrap it up, Schlegs.
Well, I mean, Bob, you want me to hit up JJ real fast, or do you think that's way more than we have time?
That's a little more. You got about 30 seconds here.
All right, hit up the Taysom Hill one. Taysom Hill, 1 of 1. And I would say this, and it's Taysom, right? And I didn't put an S at the end, but he's the only player with 1,000 yards passing, 1,000 yard rushing, and 1,000 receiving yards in the Super Bowl era. And right, wrong, or indifferent, however you like it, like the next closest person to him is somebody from like the 40s, And what does that say? It's like, to me, like, he loves football. It's like, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it, whether it's a quarterback, a tight end, a fullback, a running back, it doesn't matter. But it was just a great stat in an era in which this is very, very uncommon.
Well, and I think he's been in New Orleans for 9 seasons now.
I know he has. Yeah, a long time. One place.
Yeah, and I think his contract's up. They don't know if he's going to be back. Maybe he goes with Sean Payton ultimately to Denver. Maybe he just retires. And, he's an older guy, BYU dude, quarterback there. Really, really phenomenal athlete. And it's a pleasure to watch him play. Thank you for bringing that up, Schlegs. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll be back Monday to keep you previewed here for the Cotton Bowl with Miami and Ohio State here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.